Is that we touched on where the judges are mandated, especially non-attorney judges, to continue with that education every year. Goes into really translates into many more hours than what I just said. A few 6 credit hours. Really, we spend many hours in the educational process. But the difference between the quality of a decision that you get from an attorney judge versus a non-attorney judge is the same as you find in every walk of life. Some people are more competent than others. It's how much you put into it. But we have found there is no real difference in what an attorney judge will produce, their work product, compared to a non-attorney judge, because it comes down to, as you know, how much time and effort you put in dealing with the case matters before you. And I tried to sum that up as easy as I could.
But it's interesting and raised another point, and most people don't understand the amount of work that you actually do. Now, all town judges, to my knowledge, get a nominal salary. And I really mean nominal, because for what they do, the pay is minimal. And as a consequence of that, it really shows, at least to me, that town justices, local judges altogether, do so more out of a sense of dedication and a sense of wishing to, we have a call, but let me finish, to actually do the job, because if you actually did it for the money, you're working for probably less than minimum wage in many cases.
Judge Fisher and I think, one time chatted about that, and I think we were working for 13 cents an hour.
Yep, and that's the way it works, and people don't understand that as well. I understand we have a caller. Caller, I wish I could give you something, but I don't have anything. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing very good. I'm just curious. I've never been to court, nor do I think I ever want to go there, but I was just wondering how, if the judge could expand on this, how is it compared to like what we see on TV, like with Law and Order or some of these other shows?
Good question. Law and Order, I love the show. I think is awful close to the real life. Certainly the Judge Judy shows in that really not. No, really not. The mechanics of the system are similar. The drama is not. Courts it's a very serious matter. And as far as drawing an analogy between what you see on TV, just like the CSI shows, etc., we don't, in our jury trials, we don't see a whole lot of forensic evidence coming in that people expect from the TV shows. But there is some semblance as far as the way the mechanics are, the way the case comes into the court system, the way the attorneys present the cases, the way they argue the matters, the way the juries act, etc. But that's about where it ends. The rest of the show is strictly drama. So I don't know if I answered your question or not, but that's the way we perceive it.
Courtroom proceedings are essentially similar.
Very much so.
But you're right, the rest of it's being drama. If you want to talk about watching Fantasyland, watch the CSI shows. That is about as far from reality as you can probably go.
Right.
I mean, if you're really interested in science fiction and good Disney-type imagination, that's a great show to watch. I've really never watched more than about 10 minutes of it, where you see somebody find a fiber from 200 yards away hidden under the blood-stained carpet of, I mean, it's just unbelievable, and that's really unbelievable, but that's not the system. And as you said, really good police work really leads to the arrest, and forensics sometimes play a part in it, but forensics is not the ultimate decider in most cases. Going back to the amount of hours that you spend, you don't have regular hours. Now, you have regular court hours, of course, but you don't have regular hours. You may get a phone call this morning or this evening or tomorrow morning, for lack of a better term, at 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning. Isn't that correct?
Oh, yeah. We're there 24/7, and again, it goes back to your sort of dedication. It gets real old real quick if you're not into really wanting to be a part of the system. Because, as you mentioned, it's not infrequent you get a call at 3 in the morning to do an arraignment, or you get a call on Sunday afternoon as you're sitting down to dinner because somebody needs a search warrant, whatever. And another interesting fact is the local courts, the town and village courts, sit jurisdictionally at the same level as your city courts, your Jamestown and Dunkirk city courts, and our family court. And the town and village courts share a joint jurisdiction with the Chautauqua County Family Courts. So when the family court is not in session, we are and can be the acting family court. And an individual can come into us when the family court is not in session, which is nights and weekends, and file a petition for a family court order of protection. The proviso is they have to sign an affidavit saying that they will file a regular family court petition in family court the first day they're in session. But they can come to us nights and weekends and obtain a family court order of protection, which, by the way, expires the first day that the family court is in session.
So it's in their best interest to follow through. But
That's
you
correct.
also do criminal criminal orders of protection as well, do you not?
Constantly. Based on certain types of criminal complaints, where we are mandated to issue what we call temporary orders of protection. And in the cases where a victim requests one, where we're not mandatorily issuing one, then we issue a temporary order of protection that usually lasts for a period of 6 months, which can be extended, modified, or shortened by the judge as they see deem fit for that particular case.
And the family court orders of protection are, or I'm sorry, the regular orders of protection are to protect the ostensible victim and perhaps the immediate family, correct?
That's correct, and it's even now been extended to pets in the household. We find some abusers taking out their frustrations, whatever you want to call it, on a family pet to get at the victim. So now we even include the family pets, but it's all the members of the family, members of the household at a particular location.
And there's teeth to that order, are there not?
That's correct. And we advise the defendant at the time that we are instituting the order of protection that if they violate any terms or condition of the order, that they're subject to additional charges, rearrest up to and including felony charges.
And as part of the arraignment process with that defendant, are you also able to set what's called bail, or in other words, an undertaking to make sure that defendant returns?
Yes, the law states that if we find an individual needs to have bail set, and it's a nice question, because if we back up a little bit, an individual is brought to us either under an arrest warrant or they appear in court on another matter, and we must make a determination as part of the arraignment procedure as to whether or not to set bail. And not everybody thinks you go to court, you're going to jail, and that's not the case. The reason we look at setting bail is to primarily, and the main reason is to assure that the defendant is going to return to court. Whatever that takes is what we want to do. Doesn't always mean we have to set bail. So we look at the individual, we look at the type of charge, we consider whether or not they are a menace to society, etc., and all these other situations, which, by the way, being a local judge, having a feel for the community and the members therein, gives you a better sense of understanding of the person's family life, their employment situation. And I'll tell you, if somebody's working, we don't want to put them in jail. We want to keep them working. But basically, we set bail to assure that person's coming back to court. So the types of bail we set are determined by the severity of the charge, et cetera, et cetera. But we look at that as part of our release considerations, and we even have the ability to release an individual under supervision of probation, which we use quite a bit. But Judge Fisher and I both agree that jail is not always the answer. It's what is required for that specific individual in that specific case before you.
Very good. I agree with that. We're going to take a short break for public service announcements. I do want to explore that issue a little bit more, something you said about the involvement in the community and the community focus, and when we return. But we're going to take a break now for some public service announcements. We'll be right back.
country that's terrible.
Very good.
This is brand new.
Am I doing good?